Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have the Microtech Stitch, the just dainty, artful little side opening automatic from Microtech. I'm, of course, being sarcastic. This is a big old stonker and a pretty extreme looking one at that. Very cool knife, though. Collaboration between Microtech and Borka Blades. I'm doing this right now because they do seem to be popping up a little bit right now. Microtech is kind of a batch-oriented company, so, there's a bunch that come out and a bunch that go away. Does seem like they're making stitches fairly regularly at the moment. I do see them come and go fairly often at the time I'm recording this. But if you can't find one new, they're not super hard to find used. And this is by far the most popular configuration. This is the Stonewash with the black handles in M390. And it's about $398 is what you're going to pay for one of these. So they're not inexpensive at all. But when you compare it to a Borka, they're a bargain. But yeah, very kind of extreme looking knife. I wasn't sure how much I was going to like it. I actually honestly borrowed this from Jeremy Russell. Thank you very much, longtime viewer and often commenter, for my top 5 Microtech's ranked video, which I will link to at the end. That'll be one of the suggested videos. And yeah, he gave me a price when he sent it to me and said if I wanted it, I could buy it. And within a day, I knew I was going to want to buy it. It's big, it's silly, it's crazy looking, but it has, I was going to say, snuck its way into my heart, but that's not true. A knife like this doesn't sneak anywhere. It kicked down the door and got its way into my heart. I like the looks of it. I know it's very extreme. It's almost maybe even a bit kind of fantasy looking. This is the design language of Borka. It definitely looks like a Borka, and it's just, I like it though. The unique pocket clip. It is right-hand carry only, if you're wondering about that. Aluminum scales with this texturing on it, which we'll talk more about in a bit. But yeah, and this big, crazy-looking blade, which is fairly functional, I do have to say. Part of the reason why I decided to keep it around. But we'll get more into that as we go on. Let's do some specs and some size comparisons before we go any further. Yeah, big old 3.75-inch blade, overall length of 8.5 inches. You have a blade thickness of thick, I think is the scientific term for it, 0.19 inches. You have a handle thickness, also a little bit thick, 0.62 inches, and a weight of 6.28 ounces. Not too insane, but definitely a bit on the heavy side for an aluminum side open automatic for sure. We're going to do the usuals for the size comparisons, then we'll get into some of its brethren. So we have the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. You can see it's quite a bit bigger than that. And the Para 3. And, well, you know what? We're going to skip the Benchmates because they're just going to look skinny compared to this. So we'll do the Civivis, and then we'll do some stuff that is a bit more applicable. We have your Civivi Backlash and the Elementum and a dog barking outside. The Borka, the barking dog? I don't know. I should never try and be Shabazz. I don't know why I even did that. Well, so let's bring out the Hinder XM24. You can see it is significantly shorter than a 24, and the ProTech Newport. So yeah, it's still a little bit bigger than a Newport, a little bit smaller than a 24. Obviously, in the closed dimension, though, it is much larger than the Newport is. And then I'll bring out a couple other Microtechs here, because if you're shopping for one of these, let's be honest, you're probably a Microtech fan. You probably have some. So the ubiquitous Ultratech. See, in length, it's only a little bit longer than that. And probably the most appropriate comparison, this is the SOCOM Elite. This is a manual, but the auto is exactly all the same dimensions. A little bit shorter than a SOCOM Elite. But like I said, the dimension that matters here and why it seems so big is when you close it. And I wanted to use the SOCOM for this. Even though the SOCOM is a pretty wide knife, this is much wider. We'll talk more about that when we get to the carry. So let's talk about this blade on this thing. Well, this does have an aftermarket edge on it, so I did not measure thousandths behind the edge or anything. Jeremy Russell does fantastic sharpening work, by the way. Look at that. Very, very pretty. You can even see the Ferrari flag up above me. It does great work, but I didn't really check that, but let's be honest. That thick a blade stock, you're not buying this thing, to go out and slice cheese it's not that kind of knife. So I don't think anybody's gonna be too worried about that. Does have a really good tip on it. The swedge is going to kind of hide that a little bit when I show it in the on camera, but it definitely does have a really good, pretty robust tip on it for, you know, puncturing things. I don't know why that blade hole is there. I guess it's just looks. Maybe it's functional on some of the other Borka designs. I'm not really sure, but and it does lighten it up a little bit. It probably does make it fly out a little bit harder because that thick of blade stock, that much hole, that's a good amount of weight that was cut out of there. So I assume it's just weight reduction because, as you can see, you know, it's an auto. You can't really use it. Oh, that noise. Ergos are outstanding. It's one of the things that made me want to buy it, honestly. It's definitely meant to be used, you know, choked up like this. I think you have that perfectly placed jimping and also just the right amount of texture. Your thumb's locked in, but it's not rough at all. Really good finger choil. And can't feel that pocket clip a bit. It's just great. You can hold it back here, but then you're a long way from the cutting edge. I have used it a bit like that, but yeah, because you can even kind of, you know, use it for chopping if you want to use it in the kitchen. I don't know. There's probably much better knives to use in the kitchen than this, but if you want to, or any small thing you're chopping on a flat surface, you can definitely use it for that. No problem at all. Your fingers don't get in the way. So, a useful blade, much more useful than it looks, but yeah, not a slicing machine. Was never intended to be, and the Ergos are just great and do place that blade in a very, very good position. Now, as far as the carry goes, I mean, as far as having it in your pocket, it doesn't bother me or anything, you know. It doesn't, like I said, 6.38 ounces, a little heavy, but it's not insane. I definitely daily carry knives that are heavier than that. You have a bit sticking out, but this is not a knife for the discreet. So I'm not going to complain about it not having a deep carry clip. It is right hand carry only, but it is a pocket dominator, as you'd expect. You can get your hand past it, okay. I mean, I definitely had knives that were worse. All this ridging on the back, you can definitely feel, you know, when your hand passes by it. Pretty much, if you are a right front pocket carry person like I am, this pocket is occupado if you are carrying this knife. Pretty much, in my opinion, I don't put anything else with it. It is aluminum as well. You want to think about that. You don't want to beat it up. You don't want to have keys or something banging against it. So, yeah, if this is in my right front pocket, that's what's in my right front pocket. But once it's in there, it's fine. I don't feel like uncomfortable when I sit down or anything like that. It's not that huge in the pocket, but there's just not much room. So yeah, you can see it's going to look like here when I fold this back, it's going to look like there's a lot more room in the pocket. There is. It's just not going to be super easy to get to it. I will say knives like the Strider ProTech I had a while ago, that's worse. That's harder to get my hand past than this is. There's definitely ones that are harder, but still, it's pretty much a pocket dominator. But now, let's talk about that action. Yeah, it bangs. This is a loud knife. It is in more ways than just the look. You can close it one-handed. It does take a second to figure out the motion, though. And it's not because of the spring tension, honestly. It's just kind of that unique sort of blade shape, I think. You kind of got to two-finger it and stuff. Hand it off to the other finger, so to speak, to get it closed. But, yeah. That hits super, super hard, and it's very cool. I like it a lot. The action of it reminds me of, and another reason why I had this out for size comparisons, is the Newport from ProTech. I would say they're pretty similar in how hard they hit. Now, I don't have it at the moment, but I did have a SOCOM Elite Automatic. This definitely hits harder than that. I don't know what's different in the mechanism, or it could be just, you know, weight things of the blade or whatever like that, but this does definitely seem to hit harder than the SOCOM Elite Automatic, which is no gentle thing itself. So, yeah. You know, it's $398. It's not the most useful knife in the world. I'm not going to pretend that it's a great, perfect EDC, but I think it is definitely EDC-able. It's kind of crazy looking, and I think especially if you are a Microtech fan anyway, it's cool just to check one of these out. I've got one. I know Metal Complex just bought one. And I know a lot of Microtech enthusiasts that are really into them. Yeah, it has all the cool Microtech stuff, you know, that I love. It's got a little birth date on it, and I don't know. I really, really like it. Since I mentioned on a live stream that I bought it, I've had people offer to buy it because I do sell stuff fairly regularly, and I've said no to every one of them. I can't see this going anywhere anytime soon. It is big and ridiculous and loud, but it's fun to have one like that every now and then. And I like Microtechs, so it fills out my little small Microtech collection well. And I think it's going to stick around for a bit. It's just, I don't know, it's just cool to me. I really like it. So I think this is going to be kind of a Marmite knife. You're either going to love it or hate it. But I think if you're a real Microtech fan or a Borka fan and don't want to spend how much an actual real Borka is, it's a great choice. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.